thank you for tuning into the podcast. Today we've got a guest, and say hi to Zoë Bishop, the founder of a movement called Blessed Before You Dress, or BBYD for short. I met her during a conference call by TLG, that's Transforming Life for Good, online Christian business network. Zoe's intro and line of business piqued my interest instantly, and in particular about her initiative of incorporating gratitude practice into our daily life. And I will attach the links to her pages, her LinkedIn, and also my previous articles that actually talk about me maintaining a gratitude journal. I'll have it somewhere here, my journal. I'll show you later. But today we'll deep dive into learning about the practice of gratitude from somebody who has been organizing gratitude into practice, more than just a personal habit. So at that TLG call, I checked Zoe's website, and she's apparently been quite an entrepreneur. So not only in BBYD, she also creates different retreat programs focused on well-being, and she's often described as a journaling queen because she promotes both the Inspire Now Productivity Journal and journal prompts, which you can find on her website. So it was like a bingo moment for me that I knew I could invite her to this platform to share her story. And given that we've got so much in our common, in our pursuit and also our values, so I believe there's much you can learn from to enrich your gentle and sustainable living practice, which I can also learn from Zoe as well. So hi, Zoe, and welcome to the Gentle Roadmap.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's really lovely to be here. I'm excited to talk to you. Can't wait to share experiences.
Okay, so thank you. And first things first, the most important question, how did you come across this whole gratitude practice thing? So would you mind
Yeah,
sharing your story?
yeah, of course. Yeah, so I think like in recent times, so we're probably talking over the last 5 years or so, it probably started from my Inspire Now productivity journal, because within that, each page, you have a little box to write, some things that you're grateful for.
Mhm.
So kind of started, I think, there where I just kind of, sporadically would just write a few things down. Um, but then I met my amazing business coach and mindset coach and mentor, and she kind of started to build journaling gratitude like into my journaling process, because she gave me some amazing prompts to use, which I still use to this day. And within that, she would talk about, who are the people that you're grateful for, and, what have you kind of loved, about your day. So it was those kind of things that then I started doing it as a bit more of a regular habit, and just started to kind of see the benefits of it. And kind of, maybe a year or so later, I took part in a gratitude challenge run by a guy over in the US called Kevin Monroe,
Mhm.
who's very, very big in the gratitude space. So I did like a 30-day challenge with him. And yeah, and then, it's that thing, isn't it, where you then start drawing more people who have the same values as you. And I then met, I also present on a radio called Yawa Radio, which stands for Your Only Wellbeing and Happiness
Oh,
Station. And there was a guy on there, Steve Gamlin. We kind of connected. He's also very much into gratitude. So we have recorded a couple of gratitude shows together. So that kind of came back. And then this is what I love about the world of LinkedIn and, working globally. He then introduced me to a guy called Chris Palmore, who's also known as the Gratitude Junkie. So immediately it was like, yay, I know I'm going to get on well with this person. And then off the back of that, I wrote this an article for his book after we'd been exchanging things. I produced a little audio for him for a gratitude project that he was
mm.
working with. Yeah. And so that will probably lead us into like the next bit, talking about BBYD.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's actually quite unusual because normally because we're talking about the business that sparks from the gratitude practice itself, instead of like you have like a physical or digital products to sell, so it's quite different. But because you started from your heart, from your experience, you met wonderful people along the way, which like
Absolutely.
one way opens more door coming to your way. And yeah, so what inspired you to start BBYD then?
Yeah, so as I just said, so I had been chatting to Chris, liaising with him, and he asked me then to write an essay for a book
Mhm.
called Gratitude Journal, Volume 3. So this said book. And it just said, oh, did you want to write something for it? He said, I'm just trying to, get with all my connections and produce something that could be really special. So let me know if you'd like to, have something within it. And I was just one of those moments where, you just say yes, say, oh yeah, I'll say yes. And then just, thought the inspiration is going to come from somewhere. And at the time I was working as a wellness copywriter.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
writing was kind of, like my trade, and marketing writing can sometimes be quite different. But for
True.
this piece of writing, I was just like, do you know what? I'm just going to write from the heart. I'm just going to write from me. And it's amazing those times when I probably produced it in the quickest time ever because, I wasn't thinking about this angle and, my target audience. I was just thinking, do you know what? This is my relationship with gratitude. This is where it's all started. So I wrote that article, and within the article, there was a line in there that said, I just feel blessed before I'm even dressed. And I kind of, like you submit these things, didn't really think anything of it. And I was like, if that's what he's looking for, then that's fantastic. If not, then, just move on. But he came back and he loved it. And he said that this line, I feel blessed before I'm even dressed, really stuck, with him. And I kind of, I hadn't, written it with that like kind of intention. So, but when he came back, he said, I loved this line. And I looked at it again and I was like, wow, that's actually really powerful. And my daughter at the time just started like saying it over and over. And I was just like, wow. And it was that moment, sometimes you just have that moment of like, okay, yeah, I really love this. And just maybe there's something I can do in the future with this. So I just kind of, just went with it. And but that's where it all kind of stemmed from, just from that one article. And then, that was back in April 2023. And the book published in June 2023. And sort of following that, that's where I had the idea to come up with the LinkedIn post and just really inspire people to think about one small thing they're grateful for, as soon as their eyes open, before they're even dressed. That's, kind of like the whole concept of it. So yeah, that's kind of like the backstory behind it. And the LinkedIn post has been going out since the 1st of June 2023. So yeah.
That's quite lovely because when I came into this gratitude journaling practice, I was also aiming to write early in the morning before I was occupied with work, with getting ready for work, and that's for more on the practical purpose instead of just like the philosophical one. Just because I had time to sit down and
Yeah.
write. But
Yeah.
now that you mentioned that that actually set your mind to basically feeling blessed before you before you get
Yeah.
here. So
And
that
it is, yeah. And it's amazing how I think, and this is all about, my mindset and actually waking up and thinking of that good thing
Mhm.
rather than thinking of maybe something less positive, that can kind of shift the way that your day goes.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Because when you start I think one of the fellow writers commented on my post about gratitude that the day will feel so much different if you start with gratitude practice rather than, like rushing into things, getting pulled to a different direction. So that's quite eye-opening. And are you still posting on the LinkedIn every day to remind people on the BBYD?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that to me is like that is kind of the heart of BBYD, and it always will be, because it is about like just sharing that
Mm.
moment with people. And although, they might, it goes out, the post goes out at 7 a.m. UK time, but obviously, I have lots of contacts in the US and things,
Yes.
different time zones. Um, but it is really, that is the kind of the fundamental thing. It's just to remind people, it's just a gentle reminder to
Uh-huh.
just think of one thing to be grateful for. So yeah, that's kind of always going to be there, and things that have come off of the back of the LinkedIn post, that's amazing. But I think it is going to be, this post, that continues. It's amazing to see people's responses and engagement. Um, I've had a few comments of people just saying, "Oh, this has really helped me today."
Mhm.
So and all that, is just absolutely fantastic. And also sometimes, people might see it, but they don't comment. There's a stat out there, isn't there, that like only 90% of people
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
see it, but they'll never ever comment. So it's just for me, like that's my way of um just being able to share something positive every day that will, always come up, and just, maybe for that one person on that one day that really needs it, that will be there for them.
Yeah, that's quite a good movement you've got there, because LinkedIn for me has felt so, it made me feel less than because of the achievements people tend to post on LinkedIn, because it's a professional networking site. You want
Mhm.
to put your best foot forward, but then
Mhm.
sometimes it's lost touch with reality if you keep doing
Mhm.
that. So like the gratitude practice actually is a good practice to have, because you want to look back and see how far you've become. And so we can touch upon the next point about your community building, because you mentioned about people responding to the post you share on LinkedIn about gratitude practice. So how did you build this community of the BBYD followers, or like the practice encouragers?
Yeah, I think it just kind of, it happens like organically. Like I have got some, I am very blessed to know some amazing
Mm.
people who I've met through different connections of connections. But I think it's just, there's shared values within gratitude. So it's, but then you've also got people that will just maybe dip in and out as and when they need it. So it's just been amazing to build that community. And there are a lot of people out there actually that, are very much interested in gratitude and follow it as a practice as well. So it's great, to kind of engage with those people that, feel the same about it, but also for those who might be a bit more skeptical, it's kind of good just to be that constant and to be consistent and consistently kind of posting. So that's what I kind of love about, the movement. And then because it's growing, and we'll talk about that later about, some of the products and things, but
Yeah.
having like worked in marketing, like it's, that was where the bit like, I just kind of keep having these different visions of where I can take it, all with the like intent of just sharing the ripple of gratitude with, everybody that I meet.
Yeah, and it really helped building the community, of the like-minded people who share the same values and who want to build the world into a better place.
Yeah.
And talking about the challenges that you briefly mentioned upon people not being excited enough, or people downright being skeptical about the movement. So how do you face, or what are the challenges that you faced when you introduced this kind of movement, like anti, or basically like contrarian thinking movement, to introduce
Yeah.
gratitude into our daily life, and how did you overcome the challenge?
Yeah. So it is sometimes like it can be a challenge, and working in the well-being space as well. I think sometimes People think that everyone who works in well-being, their lives are perfect, and you live in this little like bubble, which is not the case at all. But I think for me, the real big thing that like gratitude has done is it's just been able to help me like reframe things and maybe react like slightly differently. So I think it's like that thing where you do get bad news, or health news, particularly whether that's for you or somebody else. I've just had to work really hard, and I think that's the other thing is like you do have to work at these things, like they don't always come naturally. But I've had to work really hard so that when news like this comes, just to try and reframe it and think about, okay, well, I've had this bad news, but say for example, I've at least I found out now, or if it's a health concern here in the UK, we have the NHS, like there's people that care about you, there's there's options that you have. So it's just thinking about the things that you you do have instead of the things that you don't, which is not easy, and I'm not saying that it's easy at all. But it's just been a great way to kind of reframe things. And so that's kind of talking about it a bit with extremes, but other things, it's being grateful for the rain when it's raining, like just these small things, because you know what, we need the rain, for things to grow. But or it's being sat in a traffic jam, even that you're gonna be late for a meeting, but it's actually like, okay, how can I reframe that? What can I do within that time, of where I can't move because I'm in a traffic jam. And it's just, so for me, whenever those instances are happening, it's like, okay, what can I kind of look for, like that I can feel a blessing. And what's been huge for me, I think, and as I've seen like over the last few years, it's kind of the more things you're grateful for, then the more there is to be grateful for. So you kind of and this is the kind of thing I can't really like explain it, but that's just how it's kind of made me feel, that the minute you start looking at everything and even the small things, like the amount of times I thank God for the cup of tea, for running water, and suddenly you're like, oh my goodness, I have got so many amazing things in my life and the people in my life. But it's not always easy. And some days, like if you ask my kids, they'll be like, well, Mum, you're not very grateful now, are you? and which is like really funny, because actually, I'm really glad that my kids are growing up to see this, and to kind of, experience it with me. And yeah, I do need, everyone needs someone to check in with them. So, they love reminding me of that too. And I am trying to instill in them, how being grateful can really shape your life. And I just think the other thing that I would say is, since I've kind of been on this journey, I've been looking at, the scientific reasons, which there is a lot of evidence for, like, how gratitude can, it can actually help you. It's all to do with the neuroplasticity of the brain, and like showering your brain with good things and the benefits that has. So I've written like a really good blog post like all about that you can see if you like head over to my site. It just kind of explains that, because I know for a lot of people as well who are very evidence-based, scientifically based, like that's actually come in really useful. And one of my favorite facts is that you can't be anxious and grateful at the same time, because of the way that your brain is wired. So I love that. So again, like in that moment of anxiety, to just try and find, one tiny thing to be grateful for, can just be real, like, it's a great tool to just, have, and to try and use, as often as you can.
Well, yeah, thank you for that. Highlighting your point about the neuroplasticity, about the wiring of our brain. Yes, I read a couple of books on the well, it was written by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk and Dr. Gabor Mate. So they're the experts on this neurosciences and psychiatry. And I think Dr. Gabor Mate is also a physician. So yes, it's totally like what you say. When we introduce more things to our brain, we basically shape our neurons, like neurons that fire together, wire together thing. So when you introduce more gratitude, more appreciation towards your daily life, then it's only the no, I don't want to say like only good things, but like you will be more attuned to recognize good things out of
Yeah.
the bad things. So that's how the
Yeah.
practice.
And another stat that I heard was really interesting recently is 80% of our thoughts are negative. So 80%. So the more that you can do to kind of shower your brain with gratitude and positivity, like, the more that, that is going to help.
Yeah, that's lovely. And also it's good that your children grow up with your good example of gratitude practice, because we want to basically like expand this better mindset, not just to our daily practice, but also to our environment, to our
Yeah.
society. What's the best part? What's the better place to start than our family?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so touching upon the point of that challenge, and also you said about the challenges that you face in your life and how you overcome that. Um, since we met at the Christian Online Business Network, so how has your Christian faith shaped your approach to gratitude?
Yeah, I think that's actually been quite integral. Um, because I think, like I'm blessed to have been brought up in a Christian home, and I think within that there's a lot of, gratitude, to God, and a lot of that starts with prayer. So when I do have my gratitudes, like first thing in the morning, it is a thanks to God. Um,
Yes.
so and there's also that kind of, thanking God for your food, and it's quite a normal practice, isn't it? I guess, and you get used to it. So I would say that that had, like, probably subconsciously had like a really big impact. And then growing up, like my mum always made me do thank you cards for birthdays and Christmas. And
Oh.
it's something that I still do now, like, because, and it is nice. It's just nice to be thanked, and it's nice to write them. Um, so yeah, I think all of that, and that there's a lot of gratitude, thanking God in the Bible. So I would say that that's been, kind of always there, and part of this process.
Mhm. What's your favorite Bible verse reminding you about this gratitude, or probably not directly but gratitude, but basically like motivating?
Yeah, there's some really good
Yes.
ones. And but this one, so I love Ephesians 5:20,
Okay.
giving thanks in all circumstances. So again, that's really like, giving thanks, and there's lots of examples in the Bible, isn't there, of giving thanks in really tough times. So I think that again can really help you to reframe things. So like we were talking about earlier, the bad news situations, God kind of tells us to be thankful in all circumstances, which, is it's not easy. And that's, I think, what I do try and tell people is it's not easy, and it is something that you have to work on. And
Mhm.
um, I don't always get it right, but the more that you can try, and the more that you can try to be grateful in all circumstances, um, I think you'll start to, appreciate that and feel um a bit more at peace with situations. And I think having a Christian faith, that is really, the backbone of faith, isn't it? Of trusting God. And
Yeah.
that kind of feeds into the gratitude thing as well.
Yeah. That's it actually also reminds me of the thing that my friend said about my anxiety. So I read a lot about the life with anxiety on Substack, and one thing that my friend hammered down on me was the Lord's Prayer, actually saying about give us this day our daily bread. So it's a daily practice to be
Yeah,
grateful. So
Wow, I love that. I'm gonna write that down because I love that. Yeah, that's such a great link.
yeah, you don't do give us our monthly bread or something like that.
Right.
We
Yeah.
pray for once a month only, but you do it daily. So similar with your gratitude practice, you do it every single day because that's what our brain needs, that's what our soul needs as a Christian to remind ourselves that we are connected to the Lord's plan, and
Yeah.
what's better to do it daily, right? Yeah, I think I also saw your website of the journals and the prompts that you had for people who want to do the daily gratitude practice. So how did you come across this business idea? How did you develop your products into this collection of the gratitude journals and other journals as well? The queen of journaling.
Yeah, I know. So I think oh, how did it's it all kind of, came together. And as I was like kind of, thinking about the whole sort of campaign and how I could, bring gratitude into people's lives and tools. And I thought about how I do it. So I write down three things I'm grateful for, three people I'm grateful for, and three things that I love about my day. So
Oh,
that to me, that's how I do it. So I just thought, oh, why not just create like a little pad so that people can do that. And as a journaler like myself, I love writing things down. So and it's quite therapeutic. I love, writing in pencil. So that was kind of like, the inspiration for the gratitude pad that you can purchase. You can also just get like a downloaded version that you can just print off yourself as well. So that kind of all came off of, lived experience. And then the journal prompts themselves, which are available from the website, they were, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, I work with an amazing mindset and business strategy coach. And she gave me like a year long's worth of journal prompts because I was really interested in the whole journaling thing and making it into a daily practice. So she, kind of gave me these prompts and I've continued to work with her. And then so we kind of developed those and made them available, to sell because sometimes if you do want to journal, then you have to, it's good to have something to write down.
yeah.
Like it's good to have something to prompt you because you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I want to get started with journaling. What am I going to
Oh, yeah.
write?
Yeah.
So what I love about hers is that she kind of gives you like a little topic for each week. And so you focus on that topic, but then off of those questions, then there'll always be very similar questions like how do you want to feel throughout your day? Who name two people you're grateful for. So often I like end up doing it, twice a day because I do all my own gratitudes at night, which is great to help you sleep as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we kind of it was I just thought I'd love to make these available to people who if you don't know like where to start. So there's kind of three different ones: money mindset, self-reflection, and also happiness and growth. And then there's a full year one, which kind of is a whole bigger like self-reflection piece that you can do for a year. And what I also love about them is like they're the gift that keeps on giving because I've been doing the same journal prompts for 5 years and it's amazing to see how your answers change like year
Yeah,
by year.
definitely.
And
Definitely.
like, how like you've really grown and like so there's also some great exercises in there, write a letter to yourself,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like in 6 months. So and I've actually got one of those I think coming soon. So I'm super excited to see. And again, this helps with being intentional.
Yeah.
Um, because you're putting out there where you think you're going to be in 6 months, or there might be questions like what would you tell your 16-year-old self? And it just, for me,
Oh, yeah.
it's such an amazing process. And because you get to write down, you get to have a little bit of time for you. Like journaling is a self-care practice. It, it's
Definitely.
it's so therapeutic, and I've written quite a lot of blogs on journaling, and a lot of my original features for Yow Radio were all around journaling. So yeah, so to kind of have, I just thought those products fitted really nicely, like within to, the whole BBYD site. And you can easily download them. So I just think, yeah, I'm really, Catherine um, has been fantastic throughout the whole process. And, we've worked together on it, and to have them to be available to people, like is great, because I am like a German queen. Like I love it, and I really love sharing my story on it and how it's, helped me, and it helps me every day to show up how I want to show up. And yeah, helps me to be more grateful as well.
Yeah, I think a couple of my friends will like your journals, because whenever I ask them, when they came to me with some problems, so they want to bounce their ideas off me, I was like, have you tried journaling to
Yeah,
basically untangle your thoughts? And
yeah.
the response was like, yeah, but I don't know where to start. So now you
Here
answer.
you go. Perfect.
You answered that.
Perfect.
My
Yeah, but yeah, tell them to come and input them to me, because I'll always happily, have a
yeah.
conversation.
My template is just like a simple, I think, yeah, it's just like a table with columns of dates. So like every single day I need to write down at least three things I'm grateful for, which is
Yeah,
just like,
yeah. Like, and I think, and then sometimes what you'll find is you're actually like, oh, maybe sometimes it's because it is harder. And I think what people also who are listening need to remember is I've been doing this, like I've been doing this practice for 5 years now. So, I'm at a different stage. So sometimes it can
yeah,
be hard to think of one thing, but as you kind of, like I said, as you kind of keep going with the process, then you just find more and more. And so I would say sometimes, if you can think of five, that's, great, fine, write them all down. You don't, have to, or if you can only think of one, like one is better than none. So
mhm.
yeah, I think it's just good to highlight that. And just, people are on all sorts of different journeys. But yeah, if I can just hopefully, through the gratitude practice, help one person, then it's always worth it.
Yeah, that's quite insightful, Zoe. And for the last question that I've got, so any tips and takeaways for our readers, listener, or viewers today that you would want them to start or to think about?
Yeah, so I think the main one is just to try, because this is kind of where BBYD like stems from, comes from, is at the heart of what I talk about, is that morning gratitude. And literally just try it. Just try it as soon as your eyes open. Think of one thing like that you're grateful for, whether that's something that's that's upcoming, that you're thankful you're going to have this coffee meeting, or you're thankful, sometimes it's, your duvet, your room, the slippers at the end of your bed. Like it's, and I think having read quite a lot of articles, and I remember someone saying it's just the carpet under your toes. Like it's just the things that I think we do take for granted. But if you can just rise and just think of that one thing before you're dressed, or so, maybe you're in the shower. I mean, I love a shower. Like I hate not having a shower. So sometimes I'm just like, yeah, thank you that the water comes out the tap, and that I have a toilet to go to, which you just kind of you don't really think about these things. So yeah, just that's kind of like a morning gratitude. And also, don't forget, connect with me on LinkedIn. I can help you, I can remind you by you can see my feed. And also like mindful moments during the day. Like I'm a big advocate of taking lunch breaks. They are so important. So and trying to just get out in fresh air. So what's a mindful moment when you're out? Can you see a flower? Can you hear birdsong? Can you see a blue sky? Can you see if it's raining? Can you see reflections in the puddles? Can you see, that lovely, raindrop, in the puddle, which is beautiful? Can you see like a rainbow in the water? Can you see a rainbow in the sky? There's a lot of mindful moments that if you just take notice and just, stop, that you can, be thankful for them. And then, like we've already touched on, just an end of day reflection. And whether you choose to write this down or whether you choose to thank God if you have a faith, just before you go to sleep, think about, don't just try and, think about those things, that have gone well today, things that you're truly, grateful for. Thank you, for the nice meal you had, for the nice, cup of tea, for even, for the book that you're reading or something that's happened in your day, or that person who was there, or even, that person that let you out when you were driving in your car. It's just, just try to have that to be the last thought that you think of. Because again, there's a lot of evidence out there that will tell you that having practices like this really does help your sleep. So yeah, they're the kind of they're the kind of three things that I would say, even if you can only try and just do one of those in your day, like that would be absolutely amazing, and just see the kind of difference that it makes. The other thing, for those people who might know Rent Collective, they have an amazing song called Counting Every Blessing. Put that on. Governor B as well, Blessings Fall on Me. That is one of my favorites. I actually have that on my Yower feature because I talk about BBYD on my Feel Good Friday show, and we play those. There's also Natalie Lane, Grateful For. So there's some really nice, songs if you just want to dip in, and that can then help you to think about those things that you're grateful for. So yeah, they're kind of, my tips, and I would just encourage you to start small. And I think the other thing to be really mindful of is it's not the big things, it's the little things, it's the small things, to really be thankful for, because the small things, all accumulated make up to big things, and will start to bring us more joy. So yeah, they're just a few little tips. I hope they were helpful.
So beautifully spoken, Zoe. Those tips are things that we can definitely start getting cracked on with our life, starting today, tomorrow, and before we know it, we've been building gratitude practice for months.
Yes, exactly. And that's it. And also just do it as and when you can and how it works for you. That's the other thing. Some people love doing it in the morning, some people love doing it in the evening, and then if you're like me, I think, that's where you just start to be even more thankful for everything. The more you do, then the more naturally it comes.
Okay, thanks very much, Zoe, for your time. And I will leave the links that redirect the viewers, the readers to the pages of BBYD and also to your LinkedIn. So if anybody wants to contact you there,
Yeah.
so feel free. And yeah, thanks a lot for your time and have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.